Hello, everyone. It's me, NCR, here with another uh, tech with non-resistant video. So today I'm going to be talking about 10 plus different operating systems that I've tried out within the last 30 days. And because I'm talking about 10 different operating systems in this one video, I can't do like an in-depth review on every single operating system. So I will just talk slightly about them, my first impressions and all that. And also, a majority of the operating systems I tried out were Linux operating systems. And, I also tried out Windows, Android, Chrome OS. I've tried out a few like Chrome OS alternatives and stuff. So let's just dive right in. Number one. So number one on my list is Zorin OS. It is a really light, easy operating system for anybody who's switching from Mac OS or Windows OS to Linux. And so I've been using Zorin OS for the longest time. It is the first Linux operating system that I tried. And so actually when I got a computer with Linux, with that Zorin OS on it, my very first time I was using it, I was just like, this is weird. This is not what I'm familiar with, because I was familiar with Windows. And so over the last few years, I've really gotten familiar with Linux operating systems, and I really love using Linux operating systems. So yeah, one of the things about Zorin OS is that they advertise that you can get Windows apps on Zorin OS. And that's kind of true, except for me it has never worked, because, Linux is Linux. You can't necessarily get Windows apps on Linux. But, if you download like a Windows app and try to install it, Zorin OS is built so you kind of can. It just has never worked for me. So that's operating system number one. Another operating system that I tried in the last 30 days was Ubuntu. So Ubuntu is the most popular Linux operating system out there. I hope I'm pronouncing the name for it correct. So I used it for about a week. It was similar to Zorin OS, and so a majority of the Linux operating systems out there, like Zorin OS and Mint a few. I'm not really like a total professional knowledgeable in this, but a majority of the Linux operating systems are based on Ubuntu. So yeah, and I liked, Ubuntu was nice. I liked it. Overall impressions of it was very nice, but I installed version 20.04, and then I tried to update directly from that, because Ubuntu has where you can directly update from one version of it to the next version of their operating system. So I tried to update from that version to 20.10, and in the update process, something went wrong, and so then I was getting error messages. Like, my computer was still usable, but I was getting error messages, and I was just like, I'm going to switch to different operating systems. So that was that. Operating system number 3, Linux Mint. So since I recorded the last little clip, I just Googled Linux Mint to make sure it was Ubuntu-based. So yes, Linux Mint is Ubuntu-based. I tried it out for like not even 10 minutes. And one of the biggest things I didn't like about Linux Mint was that the app icons were outdated. For example, the Firefox app icon. I really love and am a big fan of the new Firefox app logo or app icon or whatever it's called. And so that's kind of the only reason I didn't like Linux Mint. And then, it's, I don't know, who needs, like, I'm a really big fan of more official, more well-known operating systems, more used operating systems, and it's just like, I mean, even though Linux Mint is very popular and a lot of people use it, it's just not something that I would want to use, because there's just more, and it's not, like, there's nothing wrong with Linux Mint. It's just, I personally didn't like it. That's just my impressions, because the app icons are outdated. Anyways, that was that operating system. Operating system number 4. Ubuntu Web Remix. So Ubuntu Web Remix is another Ubuntu flavor. And so one of the biggest things I didn't like about Ubuntu Web Remix was that it was a really large download, and then just for lack of features. Because Ubuntu Web Remix it's a new Ubuntu flavor, and it's supposed to be kind of like a Chromium alternative. have more of a, just secure, privacy-focused Chrome OS alternative. And I just didn't like it just because they use Firefox as the main web browser, which, I have nothing against Firefox. But it wasn't very good and just lack of features. Because, being Linux-based, you just kind of want a little bit more features. And to be honest, I only tried it out for, a little bit. One of the reasons I tried out Ubuntu Web Remix is because it's like, a new operating system. I want to get my app on there because I'm an app developer, and so I wanted to get my app on there, which I don't know, they're hard at work. It's a new operating system. I don't know whether or not they have accepted my app submission yet, but it was fairly easy to submit apps to their platform, kind of. I did all the necessary parts, I think, right now. I just, and I hope I did it right. It's the first time I've actually ever submitted apps in that way to a store. In that way, I have my app that I developed for Linux. It's available on the Snap Store and then as a deb package that you can download from SunBible, because that is the app I'm talking about. I am the creator of SunBible, and I could talk on about SunBible. That's a whole other topic. But yeah, that is Ubuntu Web, and it's very it's kind of lack of features. My opinion is, who would want to use that? But, maybe some people would want to use Ubuntu Web Remix. I don't know. It's elementary, my dear Watson. The fifth operating system that I tried out is Elementary OS. And so I really love the name Elementary OS. And Elementary OS is a very beautiful and sleek operating system, and on their website here, it says the fast, open, and privacy-respecting replacement for Windows and Mac OS. So similar to Zorin OS, they kind of advertise themselves as, a replacement to Windows and Mac OS, kind of. But I only tried it for about 10 minutes. I didn't like it because it was different from what I was familiar with on Linux operating systems. It was different because the two biggest ones that I used so far were Ubuntu and Zorin OS. It was just different. Though Elementary OS is Ubuntu based, the biggest thing that was different and that I didn't like about it, and it was the first operating system that I used that had this problem with it, that the application frame, because normally, if you're a Windows user or most Linux operating systems have the same app frame too, is just in the top corner of your apps. If you're using a computer, it has the the X button or the close button. The big button, make it big or make it smaller, and then the minimize button to minimize it. And so Elementary OS was the first operating system that I tried that just didn't have a familiar app frame. And so that is one of the things I didn't like about it, because I tried it in 10 minutes and I was like, okay, that is that. I don't want it anymore. So poof, I just completely shut it down and then installed another operating system. It's time for number 6. So I am glad that I tried Fedora after I tried Elementary OS, because the app frames that I talked about when I was talking about Elementary OS were similar kind of in Fedora. There was no minimize button. There is no minimize button to minimize apps in Fedora. You have to do a right click, or is it a left click? I always get this too confused. But to bring up a little menu, and then you have to say minimize application. You can do that way if you want to minimize the application. But that was one of the things but it's a good thing though I tried it after. But so even though that is kind of similar to Elementary OS, Fedora is actually one of the first Linux operating systems that I tried that is not Ubuntu based. So that's one thing that is different about it. And so as a coder, as a developer, it was a little bit getting used to it. I used Fedora, and I've been using it now for about 2 weeks, and I will continue to use it for longer than I've tried out any of the other Linux operating systems that I tried, because it's not Ubuntu based. It's it's different in that way. The different commands were a little bit harder to get used to, and just using Node JavaScript on there, and Yarn Package Manager was a little bit different on there. But I love it. It's very beautiful, easy, and the version of Fedora that I'm using is Fedora Workstation 33. And so I just love the name, Fedora Workstation. And so it's really turned my old computer into a workstation that I use to get a lot of work done and to do coding and developing and stuff like that. The computer I'm running it on though is low on RAM, so I can't use it like for video editing and stuff. One of the first things that I noticed about Fedora when I was trying it out, because I tried it out I tried it out just for 10 minutes, and then I tried it out because I was trying out a whole bunch of other operating systems. Like I am using it now on my computer, but I just tried it out for 10 minutes. One of the first things I noticed when I tried it out for 10 minutes is just that Boxes came pre-installed on it, and I had never heard of Boxes before. So Boxes is a Linux app that allows you to have virtual machines, to try out operating systems in a box on your computer. And so after I found that app out about that app, because I never heard of that app before, I installed Boxes on my other Linux computer and used Boxes some. And so that was one of the things that I first noticed about Fedora, because that's one of the things that's different about different Linux operating systems. They come with different apps pre-installed, and so, but you can. What's nice is that you can get most apps you can get on all Linux systems, except because But Fedora is there is if you're familiar with Linux, there's like the Snap Store, and you can get snaps on every every Linux operating system, I think. But Fedora and Ubuntu based operating systems do have different app package types. For Fedora, it's .rm is their package type when you're packaging apps for them. For Ubuntu, it's .deb kind of, or Snap or whatever. And so it. But I did try actually, speaking of Snap though, using Snap on Fedora, I wasn't able to install my own app that I have on the Snap Store. It didn't open properly, and I don't know why that was. But yeah, it is a different framework. So definitely, if you are familiar with Ubuntu-based Linux operating systems, Ubuntu or Debian-based, then switching to Fedora is it is a little different. It is a little something to get used to, but yeah, it's very beautiful. It's very easy to be productive with. It's overall like my first impressions of it. It's very beautiful and it's very good, and it's a computer that I can be productive on. It's an operating system that I can be productive on and get a lot of work done, or coding and developing done on, because it's a great operating system for developers, I think. So besides trying out a lot of Linux operating systems in the past 30 days, I tried out a few Chromium-based operating systems such as Neverware Cloud-Ready and Fyde OS. So that'd be operating system number 7 and 8 if you're counting. So I'll talk about them together. So Neverware Cloud-Ready was, Chrome. It's very similar to Chrome OS, and actually recent news. Google bought out and now owns Neverware Cloud-Ready, so it will become an official operating system of the official Chrome OS operating system in the future. Maybe it was very easy. So it was very easy to install, very similar to Chrome OS. Very similar to the official Chrome OS. Fyde OS, on the other hand, for me was very difficult to install for some reason. I don't know why it was difficult for me to install. So I was just using it from a USB stick. And it was okay. It was kind of slow for me, but it was okay. So Fyde OS advertises that you can, install Windows and Android apps and Linux apps on there, I think. But I tried to install a Windows app. It's being, like I said about earlier in this video, being a Linux operating system, you can't necessarily install Windows apps on Linux operating systems. It's not built for that. Windows apps aren't built for Linux and all. It's kind of silly because, trying out all these different operating systems on the same computer, it's silly that, because, 1 minute it has Windows on it and you can install Windows apps. The next minute, it has a Linux operating system on there and you can't install Windows apps. That doesn't make sense. Like, they're able to run on this computer. I know they're able to run on this computer. I was running Windows apps on this computer. It's not the computer, it's the operating system. And, but that's like a whole other topic. Okay. So they were both very beautiful. If you're somebody who loves, the official Chrome OS and Chromium, based operating systems, really basic, they're really simple. Basically, like what I say about it is it's just it's just the Chrome web browser, basically. That's all it is. One thing that I do, and so maybe I'll also in this little clip talk about just Chrome OS too. So that'll be operating system number 9. So woof, wiping out 3 operating systems in one little clip here. One thing I love about Chrome OS, and I'll do another video on Chrome OS and my Chromebook and stuff because I love it. And one thing about it that I love it is just that you can get Linux, Linux beta on there is what it currently is called. In the future, they're going to change that and just call it developer mode or developer tools. They're going to change it, but right now it's Linux beta, and you can enable that, and you can just install, like simple Linux applications. All I have installed on my Chromebook is just Visual Studio Code for just coding on the go. And so Chromebooks make it very simple to just do simple developing, and you can also get Android Studio on Chromebook if you're an Android developer. And so it is an easy light operating system, and so I really do love Chromium OS or Chrome OS operating systems, and so that's definitely something I would like to try more in the future, or that's something I would like to even see become more in the future. I would like to see it and use it a lot more in the future myself personally. That is kind of it for Chromium-based operating systems. I can't think of anything to add on them, but I do love them. So the 10th operating system that I'm going to mention and that I used in the last 3 days here is Prime OS. And so I'm on their website here, and they say if you already use Android, you will love what you can do with Prime OS, because basically, the Prime OS operating system gives a complete desktop experience similar to Windows or Mac OS with access to millions of Android apps. So I'm going to quit reading from the website. My personal opinion, it enabled me to use Android on a computer, and it was basically that. I think it was based on Android version 9, and so the latest version of Android is 11, but it was still Android version 9, and it was on desktop, and so they really did a lot of work. I don't know how they did it, but the apps really displayed beautifully on there. I only tried Prime OS for a little bit, and so if you love Android, if you use Android a lot, you would love what you can do with it on desktop computer, they say, and but it's definitely not one that I would want to make my core operating system, because depending on what you do, different people do different things on their computers. It's definitely not an operating system that I would want to use, because it's not Linux based. I can't get Linux developer tools on there. I can't get, maybe you could if you really spend a lot of time. You just can't get Windows apps on there. Well, I mean, there is options, I guess, through the Play Store to get Windows apps, like how you would normally get Windows apps on an Android phone, which I don't know how. So I don't know. It's a beautiful operating system. I really loved how beautiful it was. It's basically Android on a PC, and it was very beautiful, very, very beautiful. I can't, begin to say how beautiful and how how good it worked. It worked great. Okay, and another thing about Prime OS is they make it very easy to dual boot it with Windows. So if you're using Windows, you can download their installer or whatever. You can dual boot it from Windows very easily. I also used it from a USB stick, and I tried to install it from the USB stick onto the computer and use it as the main operating system on the computer. But somehow it didn't install properly, and it kind of erased all the data on my computer, which was okay because I'm just using the computer just to try out operating systems anyway. So either using it from a USB stick is one option, or dual booting it with Windows is another option. And so it may be an operating system that you would like to try if you love using, if you use Android on your phone and you want to use it on your desktop too, because you can get, Android apps. And so, it's really powerful because, if you have a Disney Plus subscription, you can, get the Disney Plus app on it and, download Disney movies, or, if you use YouTube or any music streaming service, you can download them, get the apps, because, you can't get those apps on, PC. You can't get Disney Plus on PC and download Disney Plus movies to your device to save for offline watching. So it really is a beautiful operating system. And, for some people, they might want to use it. For me, it's definitely not something I would want to use as my main operating system. So the last operating system that I want to talk about is Windows. I love it and I don't. Windows really does work fairly good. It's really beautiful. couple things I don't like about Windows, and these are things that, you can customize and stuff, but one thing that I don't really like as much is startup apps. There's certain apps that you can enable, and they just start up on startups when you start up your device, which I don't really know why I don't like it. I just don't necessarily like it as much, and I can disable startup apps, so I guess startup apps is my own fault because I have apps that start up on startup. But it is a little bit slow, and then maybe another reason I don't like Windows 10 is because I'm using a computer with 8 gigabytes RAM, and CP, it just the stuff when I'm running like a web browser and Visual Studio Code and all that, because I don't even do much video editing on it, because it's just no video editing apps come pre-installed necessarily on Windows, no good ones. And so I'm just doing and I'm not using the Chrome web browser because the Chrome web browser is known to use a lot of RAM. I'm just using Microsoft Edge and Visual Studio Code and maybe one or two other applications like Discord and a Spotify maybe. But it is very slow to start up, very slow to start up all your apps that start up on startup. And I don't know, I love Windows and I don't. And so currently I'm not using it, but I did try it I was using it for a while here. I used it for about a month, and that was part of the last 3 days. But it would work. It would work better maybe on a computer that has more RAM. I don't know. I just have I was using it on a computer that had just 8 gigabytes of RAM, and that is just not enough RAM, I think, for Windows. I think definitely the Windows operating system should be run on minimum of 16 gigabytes for just personal use maybe, and then if you're a professional and do video editing, way more gigabytes of RAM, which I have never tried a computer with more RAM, but that's something I want to do in the near future. I want to try computers with more RAM. Well, that is it for operating systems that I tried in the last 30 days. I hope you enjoyed this video. I just kind of gave a brief summary of 10 operating systems that I tried, or 11 operating systems that I tried in the last 30 days, and just kind of my first impressions / thoughts on them. I will be doing, more of an in-depth review on certain operating systems in the next few weeks and months. If you are enjoying my technical with non-resistant video series here on YouTube, please, hit the like button on this video if you liked this video, and then, also subscribe to me. And if you would like to talk and discuss, technology and more stuff with me, I encourage you to join my Discord server. There should be an invite link to join my Discord server in the description of this video. If not, there will be also a link to join my Discord server on the discussions tab on my YouTube channel, which feel free to join the discussion. And yeah, I love talking technical stuff. Till next time, this is me waiting to talk technical stuff with you.